Oops. Hello, everyone. How are you? It's Erin of the Starters Club, and thank you so much for joining me. Let me share my screen here with you because we're going to do a talk about entrepreneurs and what it takes to be a good entrepreneur. Because I hear it all the time, people saying, "Oh, I would love to do what you do. I just couldn't do it for whatever reason. Not sure why, but I'm here to tell you that it's entirely possible. You don't have to be something super special." And hold on one sec, I'm just going to make sure. Sorry, I was just, let me get back to that. Oh, let me do this, make sure you can hear me okay. Ha ha ha. Hey guys, sorry about that. I was just double checking that. So, what I want to make sure, my point of this presentation, and I apologize, is today has been crazy town that I'm just getting in here 2 minutes late. I hate being late. But I want to talk to you about entrepreneurship and really understanding what it takes to be an entrepreneur, because I hear this all the time from people. I would love to be an entrepreneur, but, and we put all these limitations on ourselves because we look at the Steve Jobs of the world, or we look at the Bill Gates, and we're just like, they're just so amazing and incredible. I could never be like that. But it's really not the case. I'm here to tell you that you can make money really doing anything you want to. You can put your mindset to anything, and it's possible. You just have to step forward and have to keep moving, and you have to be willing. So instead of me sitting here and telling you you have to be extremely smart and gifted and uber talented in order to be an entrepreneur, I'm not going to tell you any of that. I'm just here to tell you that it's possible and it's doable. So let's talk about some qualities here. We're going to talk about the foundation to every business, what makes it tick, what makes it great. We are going to talk about the core of what entrepreneurs do and understanding their core of their business and why they are successful, how they know what to do, how they think about their work, and how they make things happen, and then we'll go over next steps. So first, let's start with a quote. Who doesn't love a good quote? And I hope you cannot hear the vacuum behind me. I don't know why they've decided to vacuum right now. But anyway, let's talk about, we will shape the future. Whether I fail or succeed shall be no one's doing but my own. I am the force. I can clear any obstacle before me, or I can be lost in the maze. My choice, my responsibility, win or lose, only I hold the key to my destiny. If there's anything I do not like in life, it's a victim. Okay, we all have a choice. You could make do of what you have and continue on and make better of it, or you can wallow in your own self-pity. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you came from. I don't care what happened to you in life. You can truly become anything you set your mind to it. Anything you set your mind to, you just have to set your mind to it and do it. So let's talk about the foundation of every business, your why. Here's why your why is so important. It's really the understanding of what makes you tick, what you're passionate about, and it's a combination of what makes you come alive, what your strengths are, where you add value, and how you measure your life. Okay, this is some big stuff. And this is so crucial because entrepreneurship is not easy. Okay, if it were easy, everybody would be one, right? It is scary as hell, pardon my French. It's scary as hell, and you've got to get past these dark moments where you don't know what's going to happen. I'm telling you, there are highs beyond belief, but essentially, you're your own boss. You're it. It's all up to you and no one else. And that can be really exciting for some people, and that can be terrifying. And you're going to be out there. You're going to come in some areas where you're like, is anybody listening to me? Am I talking to a big black hole? You're not getting constant feedback, especially if you come from a corporate setting. You get constant feedback. That's what we're used to. And if you're not getting that, you might be going, well, oh my God, am I good? Am I doing this right? Like, all these questions might be happening, and the why drives you through those moments of wonder, and it drives you through those moments of down. And I'm going to really go in depth of defining your why, because I feel this is so crucial to any successful entrepreneur, because it's going to push you through the hard times. Also, if you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to your why, check out Simon Sinek. He is a He really started the concept of why via TED Talk, and he's got a book, and it's very interesting in developing and determining what your why is. So like I said, it's going to make you keep going. It's going to give you an end goal, something to look forward to, something to achieve. It's going to remind you why you're doing what you're doing. And like I said, there's going to be some downtimes, there's going to be some scary moments, but this is going to remind you why you're doing what you're doing. And you know, comfortable, the whole comfort thing can be really easy, but that's why your why can never be achieved in comfort. So you need to understand that. If, you know, I think we've all been there. We've all had a moment where I can speak for myself where I'm saying, you know what, this is good, this is great, but God, there's no passion. There's nothing in it that's driving me. And that's comfort. And it's fine. It's not bad, but it's not going to take you to that next level. All right, so let's talk about some bad whys. Bad whys, because you hate your boss, that is not a good why, because you can always find a different boss. So when the going gets tough at an entrepreneur journey, you can always get a new boss, and that's okay. Just because you wanted to try something, yeah, it's good to try. I definitely want to encourage people to try, but I don't think that's a strong enough why to get you through because as the great Yoda once said, and I apologize now, my child is screaming, but as the great Yoda once said, either do or do not do. There is no try. I really don't like the word try. I have done everything I can to eliminate it from my vocabulary because if I'm going to try something, I'm not giving it my all. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I really think there's a big difference to that. You know, as an example, maybe you think you like photography. That's not enough. I mean, again, try it out, but you really have to have a massive passion behind it. I mean, you have to want to live and breathe something because you will be living and breathing something when it comes to your entrepreneur journey. So you need to make sure that you don't kind of like it, but you truly love it. You need money is another reason why probably not the best reason to try or to do a business because especially starting out, I mean, unless you're like massively fortunate, you're not going to just like say, okay, I'm going to start a business and suddenly people are just going to pound on your door. It takes a while. Overnight success may seem like it happens, but it doesn't. You really have to really, really work at some stuff. All right, so let's talk. I'm going to give you some examples of my why. And I apologize for this picture. This is my dog's butt right in your face. But this just shows my life. It's a great depiction of my life. And I have 6 dogs. Those are all mine right there. I have 2 kids, and I'll go into my kids in just a moment. And the reason why I'm showing you this picture of my dog's butt in your face is because this is the best picture I can get. Every year we get Christmas cards made, and I actually never send out the Christmas cards, but I've got great pictures of all of them. But I have this great vision of, I watch Cesar Millan, I'm a big fan, and all the dogs are just perfectly set up straight. And this never happens. This is the best picture I get with 2 dogs looking at a ball, 1 dog refusing to look, all dogs refusing to look at the camera, and 1 dog's butt in your face. This is my life in a nutshell. But my why is driven from these dogs. So I do not like having 6 dogs in my house. I live in suburbia, and it's crazy, and it's a lot, and I've been called a crazy dog lady. I fought that title for a long time, but I've completely accepted it. And I don't want 6 dogs forever in my house in a setting like this, but it's just been, I started fostering several years ago. The yellow dog on the left-hand side there is my first foster. And, you know, just one foster failure led to another, and here I am with 6 dogs. Now, my 3 girls are getting older, and their time will come, and I don't know, you know, I don't think I'll keep adding, but my passion for dogs stemmed when I was born. I lived on a farm. My sister was the kids person and I was the animal person. To this day, you show me a puppy or a baby, I'm going for the puppy. It's just how I am. It's right or wrong, it's just me. And I've always had a passion for animals. And when I bought my first house, when I moved to Arizona, I just really fell in love. I bought a house and I said, you know, I'm going to get an animal. I needed an animal. It was that time in my life. And so I got a dog. And, or I ended up, I went to get a cat, is actually the story. And I went to the shelter, and the cats you go through, and you see the cats, and it's like, oh, fantastic. But you see a dog, and it changes everything because they look at you like, oh my God, are you my mom? Please adopt me. And so I went to get a cat and ended up with a 100-pound Rottweiler. But that Rottweiler was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm sorry, emotional thinking about it because he passed away, unfortunately. But that has driven me. When I moved here to Dallas from Arizona, I had him, and I got Boo, who's the dog sitting right in front of me. And I have a pet. This is what makes me tick. This is what makes me happy, and my dream is to own a Rottweiler rescue. But I work a lot with rescue now. I foster animals, and it's a lot of, I don't want to say it's a lot of work that I'm not willing to do, but I don't want to get into a constant fundraising situation. I don't want to get where I'm begging for funds to amputate a dog's leg. I mean, I've had to do that before, or to put some puppies through distemper treatments. I've out of pocketed a lot of things, and I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. But I know to get to the level of where I want to get to with the dog rescue and land out in California, etc., I have got to push forward and continue on. And so it's very, very important to me. And I knew, looking at my situation, I've done very well for myself. I've worked very hard. I've made some great investments that have paid off, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It can't support my family, myself, and an entire dog rescue. And so this is my driving force. So quitting my job, my corporate comfortable job, and fully going full-fledged in a business has been one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. But my dogs and this chaos, and they are truly, a very high level of love of my life. Obviously, my kids and JJ are up there also, but they're very important to me, and it's something I feel like I'm an advocate for kids and dogs. I've kept this. I had 6 dogs who were never exposed to kids, and we make it work every day. And this is what a driving force in my life is. So I feel if my time here on Earth ends before I ever get to this rescue, I have not lived doing what I was put on Earth to do. So it's a pretty big why for me. And this is what gets me through the dark times, is I know my rescue will be everything to me. So I have 3 whys. So this is my why number 1. My why number 2 are my children. And it's not from a perspective of I want to offer them everything in the world. If you've read my bio at all, you know Rich Dad Poor Dad was a huge driving factor in changing my mindset about life and owning and etc. And my dad, God bless him, he didn't know any better. I'm not blaming him or telling it's his fault, but he was the safe dad. He wanted me to get a job. He wanted me to get paid well, and I did that. And I did everything for him from that perspective of, impressing him from that perspective. And I never followed my dreams. I never did. And as a parent, there's a quote that states your children will grow to be who you are, so be who you want them to be. And this is my biggest driving factor, is that I know my kids are looking at me every day, and I need to be an example for them. It's, eating, it's exercise, it's my relationship with their dad, it's everything. It's everything. And I couldn't keep saying, okay, I'm going to live a miserable life and be unhappy because I'm trying to build their dreams. It really became, I need to look into my life and just become the person that I dream them to be, where I follow, I give it my all, I do what it takes, and this is what I need to do. So this is very, very, very important to me. All right, my why number 3 is a clock here, but it's really essential to understand what makes you tick. All right, I am a fixer. That's what I do. I love to fix people. God, you tell me you need something, whether it be a friend, a boyfriend, a help with starting a business, whatever it is. Oh, I will. If I know how to do it, I'm going to fix you. If I don't know how to do it, I'm going to connect you with somebody who's going to fix you. I'm a fixer by nature. I've always been a fixer. I want everybody to live amazing lives and be happy. And I've always followed this motto, and the fact that I can build a business around it and make a living around that is just sheer bonus. So, understanding what makes you tick is absolutely crucial in understanding, what type of business you should run and, in what you should move forward with. So really think about what makes you tick, what makes you happy, and I'm going to go into detail a little bit about that and just figuring this out. And if you'll excuse me one sec, I need to see when my kid is screaming. Okay, I apologize. That one of the wonderful things of working from home. All right, somebody needs a nap. I have a 2 and a 1-year-old, so I completely apologize. Okay, so first exercise, figure out your why and understanding your why and what makes you tick and what are the things. So if you're thinking you want to start a business, I need you to understand why you want to do this. What makes you tick, what makes you excited, what makes you happy, and what is going to drive you through the times that are a bit more difficult. And so it's really important. You can have more than one. It's totally cool. I don't know if that's the original rule, but it's my rule, so have a couple if you need them. And really think about this. So write down that first question of what's your why. All right, so every great entrepreneur, in understanding the core of what you do, they understand that they know just one thing more than someone else, okay? It's one. You all, it's not that they're insanely intelligent, they know everything under the sun. They know one, and that's really all it takes. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to be this amazing genius. You just, and the thing is too, like, okay, a lot of times we sit there and we're like, okay, well, I know this topic pretty well, but you know what? You see somebody who's been doing it for 15 years, something around that topic, and you're like, I'm not as smart as them, so I can't do it. I can't do it. I gotta talk myself out of it. It's not a matter of being to that level. As long as you know more than someone else, you're good. You can teach it. Okay? And think about stuff you're passionate about that you research. We cannot, it's physically impossible for us to know everything. So if there's something you're passionate about, and you have to understand that not everybody's going to know that same thing because we don't have time. It's impossible for us to learn everything. Crocheting, organization. I mean, as minimal as those things are, believe me, let's talk to this girl who could use a lot of knowledge about organizing. I am not an organized person. I spend so much time re-looking for stuff. It's stupid. If you could see, my poor assistant came and we went through my passwords and we were laughing at how ridiculous where I'd written all my passwords. It was a mess. So if you are good at organizing, game on. You can teach people tools to save passwords. Whatever it is, you can do it. And so you just have to know what you don't know, and it's okay. Every great entrepreneur knows what they don't know, and then they put someone else in that place to fill that gap in. And you should hire people who are smarter than you. It is okay not to know everything. So don't carry this immense pressure that you have to know everything. So so write down, as you're thinking about what business could I start, what's one thing that you could possibly teach someone? One thing that you know. Maybe you're a parent. And obviously you could probably teach my child how to stop crying or go down for a nap. He needed a nap. But what's one thing that you could possibly teach someone in in anything that you know? Like, are you, obviously you have to probably have some sort of passion behind it. Then we're going to go with that in a minute. So maybe you're a project manager at a company right now, which is great. Just if you don't want to do that, we're going to talk about your heart and your passion. Don't worry about that. But what's one thing that you could teach? And maybe you have five. Great. More than one is fantastic, but write that down and knowing what you could possibly do. All right, number 3. So it's that they can follow their heart. All right, and like I said, you've got to have passion behind this. You've got to follow your heart. And here's the deal. I hated this question forever because it was, and it's like, what does that mean? Do I ask my heart to pop out of my chest and it just points me in a direction? Like, what does this mean to follow my heart? I don't get it. Well, following your heart is really, I think I used to call them, I know what I used to call them, it was red flags, right? So red flags from a perspective of, God, probably this is one from my marriage. Probably shouldn't marry this guy. Not a good idea. But I didn't call it following my heart or knowing who I was deep inside. It was just a red flag to me. Or probably, I think one of the biggest red flags in my life came when I was in college, and I did the MIS thing. So I was a math whiz. And then which led to computer science, which led to management information systems. And I really could have cared less about it. Like, I was good at it. I just didn't love it. I didn't have passion behind it. And when the day was over, I closed my textbook and moved on and did something else. Well, we did this presentation our senior year. And I'm going to date myself by telling you this story. But this guy, these 3 guys, and I still remember their presentation, and they came out and they started talking about online banking and how online banking was going to be this thing, and it was just amazing and awesome. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I'm going to be able to transfer funds in between my accounts without ever going to the bank. I mean, dating myself here. But I was like, wow, how did they know this? Like, how come we're in the same class and I have no idea about this? I didn't know that this was going to happen. And it's because they were passionate about it. They studied it. They enjoyed it. I had no enjoyment of this. I didn't care about it. And, instead of saying, it's a pretty big red flag, it definitely was, but my heart was so far gone from this. I was not following my heart. I was not doing it what I was passionate about. I was simply doing what was going to make me money. And there's things that make you happy. So let me talk. They know what it means to follow their heart. They listen to an inner voice. I run a podcast, and Shannon Kaiser came on. She's with Play with the World, and she said this statement of nourish the nuggets. And we all get ideas in our head, and you have to understand, I poo-pooed this forever, because you get an idea in your head, and you squelcher it because you're like, oh God, everybody must be thinking that, but it's not true. Not everybody thinks that. Or we get an idea and we get really excited about this idea and we're so happy and we start writing things, and then all of a sudden that inner voice gets the best of us and we're like, oh yeah, no, not going to do that because of A, B, C, and D. And so it's really important that you understand that those are truly gems. They're important. It's what makes you tick. And if you are excited about something and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this idea came to me, I'm going to run with this, then by all means, run. And if you are trying to convince yourself that there's no way you could make a living off of anything, what you're excited about or what you love, email me. Please email me. I'm at Erin@thestartersclub.com, and I would be more than happy to respond and think of ideas for you, because I don't want anybody talking themselves out of a dream and something they're passionate about just because they don't believe it can be true, because it really truly can. Now, how do you find this? So maybe you're sitting there going, okay, I remember having some good ideas, but how do I really truly find this? I want you to think of something that if you had just 2 hours a day or even just 2 hours a week that was non-kid related, not boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife related, not anything else, but you just could do no money related. You just could do whatever you wanted to do. You could study, you could read, you could do anything. What would that be? Would it be to, if you can't watch TV because that doesn't count, or, just even reading a fictional book doesn't count either, unless you really love fiction and writing would be something, then that can count. But don't veg out in front of the TV, okay? That doesn't count. Or drinking. Some of these things, like, I hope they seem obvious, but you got to be doing something productive. You can study anything, learn about anything, figure out something. Those are the things you want to figure out. Unless you want to make wine, go for it. We actually have winemaking here. Or looking back, like, what did you do as a kid? I think this was one of the biggest breakthroughs I ever had. I share a blog post about some therapy I went through during my divorce. And I just discovered, like, I really squelched things I loved as a kid because it was all about impressing people. And I started it as a young age, and I just put this pressure on myself at a very, can't even tell you when. I had an older brother and sister, and I just felt like it was up to me to be the really successful one. And so I put this weight on my shoulders that I had to do what it took, and the things that I was passionate about weren't going to get me there, or so I thought and so I believed. But it was really about going back to those roots. And I personally, I love to write. I loved writing, and I wrote all the time. And so it was going back to those to say, you know what? I love this, and I want to make sure it's incorporated in my life daily. Because here's what's sad is that I kept writing throughout my 20s, and then it was late 20s when I started the pet sitting company, and just things got crazy, and work definitely took over my life. And suddenly one day I looked up and I stopped thinking of stories. I always had ideas of stories. And it made me so sad that I'd gotten to that point in my life where I didn't even care about stories anymore. And it just was a really sad moment for me that my creativity had been so uncultivated that I didn't have it anymore. I had nothing inside of me. So it's really important that I've found that again and recreate that. And entrepreneurship, honestly, was something I loved. I always wanted a lemonade stand. I thought lemonade stands were so cool. But unfortunately, I lived on a street in the middle of nowhere where maybe 3 cars drove by, and pretty much knew who those cars were. And so lemonade stands was not going to be something that was going to make me money. But I always had different ideas of entrepreneurship, just didn't follow through with them, to be honest with you. But I'm finally at a point where I'm cultivating those desires and those things that I'd really loved doing as a kid. So, third exercise: if money and time meant nothing to you, what would you spend your time doing? What's one thing that you'd love to learn about? And hopefully you can combine that with what's the one thing that you know more than anybody that you can teach. And if it's not, this is the one you really want to concentrate on more. So maybe you love fitness, as an example, but you can't quite teach it quite yet because you know other things. But take that time to really cultivate your passion and make yourself knowledgeable about it where you could teach someone that. All right, so how they think about their work and their life. I think this is a huge one too, is that they believe. Okay? Here's what's so interesting to me is that, like I mentioned, I run this podcast. I've talked to a ton of people. Now, I've talked to a ton of entrepreneurs, and here is what's crazy, is that every single person has that inner voice telling them, who are you kidding? Who do you think you are? There's no way anybody would pay you to do this. How do you possibly think that you can do this? All of those, maybe not every single saying, but all of those sayings are in someone else's head. And so if you believe it's just you, you're crazy. The difference between great entrepreneurs and people who never do anything is that the great entrepreneurs say, thank you very much, but I'm moving on. They don't believe, they don't listen, they move on, they truly believe that they can go somewhere. And you're going to have those moments. I promise you. It's not like you're going to say, you know what, I believe, and I'm going to move forward, so we're good, we're done. It's not that simple, unfortunately, but it's really about moving forward and getting yourself to a place that when that inner voice hits, you say, peace out. I don't want to listen to it. And so you just have to choose not to listen. And you guys, it's hard. I have my moments where oh my God, I want to stick my head in the sand because it's scary. And I'm like, what am I thinking? I can't do this. But you can, and you just have to think about it and move forward and not believe that inner voice, because we all have it. All right, another thing, what they think about their work is that they learn. There's a passion. So this is why you have to be passionate. This is why it goes back to question number 3 and understanding what you'd love to cultivate your mind around. And they're always working on themselves. They're constantly reading. They're always self-improving, and it's just their self-improvement. It's the wrong they are. Oh my gosh, I just noticed that. But anyway, they're constantly self-improving. Their self-improvement is just as important as anything else. So you have to put we're so used to whatever it is, whatever else is in our lives, that takes priority. When you're an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that your mind is a priority, and you're constantly cultivating and you're constantly learning. I can tell you sometimes I get frustrated and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, about this, and it's scary, and but then if I read something or pull up Entrepreneur Magazine or whatever it is, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. Or I've literally had moments where I've been designing a site in WordPress and I'm like, oh my God, I'd love it to do this, but I don't know how they do that. I'm not quite sure. And I kid you not, I'm on an email subscription for, I think it's called WP Beginner. And all of a sudden one day it popped up in my inbox, like, want to do this specific thing, here it is. And the information's all there to you. There's nothing that should be stumping you. You just have to reach out, seek it out, and read about it. And I'm telling you, you're going to keep propelling forward. So what's one bad self-talk that you can remove from your inner dialogue? That's one thing. And then what can you do today to start improving yourself? So it's one thing. Is it a book that you've been wanting to read forever? Is it a magazine? Is it a class you want to take? All of these things, what's one thing that you could do to really start improving yourself? All right, so let's go to number 5. They know how to manage their time. Okay, if you're sitting there saying, I would love to start a business, I just have no idea how or where I'd find the time, I promise you, there's probably maybe a 0.5% of you who really don't have the time, but we can make time. And then starting a business, it can be very time consuming. I'm in that point right now, but I'll be honest with you, I'm in that point right now because I'm in Excel mode, and I'm trying to get stuff launched, and I'm trying to do about 50 different things, and I've got sister companies coming, so I've got a lot going on, so that's my time suck. If you're focusing on one thing and maybe not getting to market quite as fast as I'm going, you guys, even if you could just fully focus and dedicate an hour a day, you'd be shocked at what it can do for you. You would truly be shocked at how far you can come. You just have to set wheels in motion and constantly work those wheels. You constantly have to work those wheels. And I'm telling you, you're going to see massive results very quickly. And you just have to do it. Okay, so one of the best things I ever learned, I'll tell you, I love my podcast because I get to interview great people and we get to go into some awesome details, and I learn something from every person I talk to. But Becca Piastrelli from The Davalist came on and she told me about time blocks. And basically this has changed my life because it's truly so different from how we typically work. So what you do is you chunk out your workday in manageable time blocks. So for me, it's an hour. With 6 dogs, 2 kids, I do not have a ton of time. I can't go much over an hour. Some people, you could even do an hour and a half to 2 hours, but You time block. And so you say, all right, here's 2 hours, phone is off, Facebook's off, Instagram, Twitter, all of those distractions, email are off. I do not accept any time during this. This is my goal for this time frame, and this is what I'm going to do. And you just go, and you go, and you go, and you get more done, I'm telling you, in that time than you would all day trying to do all the other things at the same time. So it's a great tool. You just set focus for your time, and then you take a break, and then you come back and you say, okay, got another hour and a half. What's this go time? And you be realistic about your time, because I know for me, 3 o'clock is a really, I guess noon is right now. I'm getting sleepy, but 3 o'clock is typically a real downtime for me. It's when I start getting sleepy, and I have to be realistic that 3 o'clock is not going to be a very productive time for me. So I need to get my time blocks in, get my stuff going, take a break at the 3 o'clock hour, and then I can always come back to it and work more should I need to. But really start learning how to manage your time, because this is going to be essential for propelling you forward and getting you to where you really want to be. So how much time dedicated can you truly give to what you want to do? Now, if you're sitting here going, oh God, I don't have time, I challenge you to really look at where you might be wasting time. Can you get up, if you're a mom or a dad, can you get up an hour before the kids? If you have a day job, can you just give yourself an hour every night to work on this? Cut out TV, cut out Facebook, cut out whatever. Because I know I have to specifically set out times of the day. For me, it's night. I get a lot of work done at night. Sometimes I'm up till the crack of dawn, but I am massively passionate about what I'm doing right now, and so those hours, it's not wasted time to me. I love it. And that's going to be another huge trigger for you, is how are you feeling about the work you're doing? Are you passionate about it, where you're going, whoa, what time is it? It's 3 in the morning. Are you kidding me? Versus, oh my God, I hate life right now because I have to edit a document. It's taking forever type of thing. So it's truly, truly different, and really start looking at how you're evaluating your time and feeling about your time. If it's going by fast, or if you're not really truly passionate about it, then you probably need to reevaluate. All right, so what next? Figure out what you're willing to do and what you want to do. I want you to write down these exercises and really take the time to go through them and make a plan. Put together an idea of what you want to do, and then check your inbox. I'm going to be sending a training for the next steps that you need to take, so you can really start setting the wheels in motion of getting a business up and running. I have a training about naming your business and registering your business. I have a training about setting up your website, and all of these will be going out. And then I also have one about really marketing and networking. So those will be going out over the next week or so, over the next 2 weeks actually. So really start looking at these and deciding how you can propel forward and start your business. And I will be moving this into the Starters Club, the Ultimate Starters course, which is going to be helping people really figure out the strategies of stepping through and step by step, fundamental by fundamental, getting your business off the ground. As I mentioned before, this is my, you can find me Twitter, Facebook, Instagram's not on here, Google+, LinkedIn, all of it. Look for the Starters Club. And as I said, I want you to, if you are stumped, I really want an email from you. It's Erin, E-R-I-N, at thestartersclub.com, just to ask, some ideas of what you could possibly, how you can monetize something. And the Ultimate Starters course will go much more in depth to that, but I just want to be able to provide some ideas to you that you'd be truly amazed at what people make money doing. I also want to say one more thing too. When it comes to starting a business, I promise you're going to be really excited about an idea. You're going to think, I haven't seen this before. And then when you start really getting into it, you're going to discover somebody else had it. But Marie Forleo, who I very much admire, did a whole thing about this. And it's really about, think of if you were in New York City and somebody had said, you know what, I really want to open an Italian restaurant, but so and so down the street opened one and it's Italian, so I'm not going to do it. There'd be a lot of people. A, they couldn't serve everybody, and B, think of all the people that would be missing out on the Italians, just in a little bit of twist in their own way, the Italian food. And so just because someone else is doing it, and we've seen that. You've had the opportunity to do business with whatever, maybe it's an air conditioning company, maybe it's a hairdresser. You have a ton of people that do that, but you chose one for a reason. And maybe it was great marketing, maybe it was just because you resonated with them, maybe because they did things differently. So you can't let that hold you back, okay? You cannot let that hold you back. Just keep moving forward, keep going, and you are going to be shocked at really where you end up. And you just got to do it. You got to do it. Don't let any excuses. That's one of those bad things in your head saying, don't do it. You got to do it. And if you want a good book recommendation, like I said, Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of my favorites. And I would also encourage The Alchemist. Loved that book, and it was really about following passion, following dreams, and life can be good, but if you take a massive chance that's scary as hell, it could be absolutely a life you could only dream of. Go read that. It's going to really inspire you. And like I said, I hope I'm not taking questions on this specific webinar, and I want you just to email me and reach out and talk to me about different ways you could make money. I would love, love, love to hear from you. So good luck. Look for your inbox. We're going to get you started. We're going to get you on your path. And I can't thank you enough for listening to this. And like I said, please connect with me. Let me know your thoughts. I always love to hear from people. And I'm very, very excited you've taken the time to watch this. And hopefully you've learned a thing or two.